This video is about the soulmate dilemma. If you've ever called somebody a soulmate, and then one day you woke up and asked yourself the question, what was I thinking? Or where did my soulmate go? Or what happened to them? This is going to be your video. Please, if you're finding value on this channel, be sure to subscribe and leave a comment, because that tells YouTube that it's valuable content and it's able to push it out to more people like you who may find it helpful. To explain this point, I am going to use my own example because I believe that I am married to my soulmate. So I'm going to use this example of how it went for me, and hopefully that helps you understand the dilemma. And sometimes it can be a very dark place where you don't even know anymore if the word soulmate makes sense. I'm one of those people that was dead set of getting married to nothing but my soulmate. And what I did is I created a husband shopping list. I said to myself, if there was a soulmate in this planet, what would they have to have? What are the traits that they would have? My list of soulmate didn't have superficial things. It was more what their soul looked like. It was more who they were as a human being. It was more what their character was. You can have superficial things, I imagine, but I didn't have those. I didn't care too much how tall they were. I didn't care too much if they had a six-pack. I didn't care too much if they had millions in the bank. That wasn't important to me. It can be important to you. I'm going to give you what was on my list and kind of walk you backwards towards the dilemma. So this is maybe a quarter of what was on my list. And my soulmate had to be super ambitious. I wanted a man who was more ambitious than I was. He had to be a provider, a protector, a proclaimer. My husband had to be the kind of man that wants to provide, that wants to protect the people he cares about, and that has no problem proclaiming his love to the world. I didn't want like a secret husband who people never know he's married or something. I also wanted a man that was easygoing, so very easy to get along. I wanted a man that was spontaneous, fun, faithful, kind. I wanted a nice human being. I wanted a dad personality, a man who loved to be home with kids and was not as excited about going to the bar and all of the things. I also wanted a man who got it done. I wanted a man who was ambitious. I wanted a man who was like an entrepreneur. I wanted a man who had that mindset of an entrepreneur. And this is really just a quarter of what I wanted, but it will work for now. This is what I wanted. And one day I met my husband, and he had the 40 things that were on my list. And then he had another 30 to 40 to 50 things that were not on my list, but which were important to me. When I met him, my soul felt like I had known him all my life. That's how I felt. I felt like he was just a part of me already. So we got married, soulmates. And here is what I never saw. I don't know what was on his list, so I don't want to rely on what I have. I want to explain from what he has and what I never saw coming. So we've gone through my husband's checklist. This is what I never saw, which is the other side of the soulmate. Maybe this video should be called The Other Side of Your Soulmate. What I never saw is that at the end of the ambitious person was a hyperachiever. This is one person. When they stretch their ambition, it becomes an obsession, which is the hyperachiever. I also never knew the get it done, the provider, the protector, and the dad had the other side of the thread, which is the controller. It is one person with two ends of it. So if this is one side of the person, this is the other side of the person. So who they are really depends on what is activated in them. And as their partner, I have a big part to do with what side of them is activated. So when I married Matt, I saw what I wanted because he was ambitious, he was a provider, protector, proclaimer, is going, all the thing. What I never saw is the other side of my soulmate. And the other side of my soulmate was the hyperachiever, the controller, the proclaimer became the controller, the easygoing became an avoider, the spontaneous became unpredictable, the fun person became a comedian, the faithful man became possessive of his people and the people he cared about. The kind man had the pleaser trait. The nice person ended up in the pleaser saboteur sometimes. And all the things that I wanted had another side to them that I didn't want so much. And so my first struggle in my marriage was I wanted the ambition, but I didn't want the hyperachiever. But it's one person. It's one DNA. I was asking him to be a part of who he is and not the other one. I wanted the provider, but I didn't want the controller. I wanted the easygoing, but I didn't want the avoider. I wanted a nice human being, but I didn't want the pleaser. I wanted to have fun. I wanted the fun person, but I didn't want the overly stretched comedian. I wanted everything I wanted. I almost didn't want the other side of the thread. And my hurdle was really getting my partner to break themselves into two. I don't want you to lose the ambition, but I don't want the hyperachiever. And that's subconscious. You don't even know you're doing it. What I didn't understand is that one of my traits, which is the get it done. So one of my traits is the super ambition. I have some quite high ambitions. So this super ambition is a hyperachiever on the other side of my thread. And the get it done, the person who can move things, is my control. And the stimulating brain is my hyperrational. So every trait that I have has another trait. So what I'll talk about is the controller, because the controller was the big part of activating his other thread. So let's say this is one part, north and maybe south. Let's say this is negative and positive, and I'm now talking like an engineer because I'm one. But let's talk about negative and positive. Let's say that positive is what you want in your soulmate and negative is what you don't want. What gets activated in him depends on what is active in you. So when my controller is meeting Matt and talking to Matt, he's going to have everything that I don't want. When my get it done implementer is talking to him, I'm going to get everything that I want. Why I call this a dilemma is actually the way I understand how soulmate chemistry works is that divine, because I believe in a higher being, has made it so that the soulmate is the person who can grow you the most. The person that is placed in your life as your soulmate is the person who has the ability to grow you and stretch you the most. And that is the bit that most people never see. They marry their soulmate and they're like, oh my God, I hope you change some of these things. The man marries you and says, oh my God, I hope you never change. I hope I keep seeing this positive. None of us sees the other side of the fork. And so sometimes the negatives and the positives begin to clash. And you feel like the same person that is your soulmate also has the ability to cause you a heart attack, can wake up one day and be your worst nightmare. The same person who has the ability to grow you the most has the ability to get out the worst in you. That's how it works. So who you choose as a partner has everything to do with what is the work that needs to be done on you. What are the lessons that you have to learn? Who do you have to become to do the things that you're here to do? And your spouse is like a very good black belt trainer for who you have to become. But a lot of people never really understand this concept, and they keep fighting and fighting and fighting. So when you like to have your soulmate and not have so much of the other things, then you want to be careful what part of you is coming to the table, because the part of you that is coming to the table is what determines who you have every day. If my controller is coming to the table, I am going to get the hyperachiever and the avoider and all the things. But if my sage is coming to the table, if the good side of me is coming to the table, I am going to get the soulmate that I want. So the balance is really doing your work, getting in your sage power, so that when you're communicating to your spouse and showing up in the relationship, that you can access your soulmate. So the other side of your soulmate is this part that nobody ever tells you, because nobody ever knows that it's there, and nobody ever really understands why it exists. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you can begin to see your soulmate with a different eye. If you're looking for your soulmate, I hope that this will help you. I promise you, your soulmate has the red side and they have this side as well. And it helps when you can see both and you can know how to activate the side that you want. If you're not careful, you can get your soulmate and you can activate his red, and he can just be in red until you're in a divorce courtroom. And you go, no, he was never my soulmate. I hope this was helpful. Please let me know what you found most helpful out of this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe, because it helps YouTube understand that this is helpful, and share it with more people like you so that we can change the world and reduce divorce rates one sage woman at a time.